Hello, world. It's your brother Silent Sound tapping in with you, and we're back with another episode of the Silent Conversations podcast. As always, this episode is sponsored by The Silent Store. Yes, thesilentstore.com, where you can get all of your self development tools, merch, and clothing, anything that you need to be able to help you grow, inspire others to grow, and continue down that journey of self development. You can find it there. That's thesilentstore.com. That's where you can find my new ebook, The 3 Ps, the keys to having better days, to help master that mindset that's going to help propel you towards your growth, be able to help you find your intentions, be able to lock in on your purpose, your reason why you're doing what you're doing to grow into who you are, striving to become. That book, The 3 Ps, the keys to having better days, can help you with the 3 principles that I use every day. That's peace, positivity, and perspective, in order for me to gain understanding, stay grounded in the moment, and be able to be an inspiration for others and motivate myself to continue to grow into a better version of myself. So that's what I want to share with you. Be sure to tap in. That's thesilentstore.com. But let's get into another episode. Today, this particular episode is about two things. That's fear and failure. Fear and failure is something that is very common when it comes to growth, especially in self-development. When you set goals, you have to be aware that fear and failure will be obstacles or opportunities that will present themselves, that we will have to be challenged, or be able to push past the challenge of what is presented so that we can actually reach our goals. For example, when we set out a goal to change habits in our lives, when we set out goals to be able to change different things about ourselves, we get uncomfortable. We have become very comfortable and secure in who we have become up to this point. But when we start to make intentional decisions to change, it starts to get uncomfortable. That's when that fear begins to set in. And typically, that fear is derived from two things. We fear the perception of others after we've changed, or while we're changing, the mistakes that we may make along the way. We fear what people are going to think about that. But we also fear what comes with the responsibility of not truly fulfilling what we say with our mouths. A lot of times we say our goals, we speak our goals, we announce our goals, but then we create this pressure that makes fear that much easier to creep in and prevent us from actually manifesting that goal in its fullest potential. So that's why I really want to dive into fear. When I think about fear, there's an acronym that I use for fear, and that's facing emotions altering reality. Facing emotions altering reality. That's fear. Because fear really is an illusion. It's all in your mind. A lot of things that we fear, we've created scenarios in our mind that are truly, they're not real for one. And then they're also an extreme based off of our belief, based off of our perspective, based off of our expectations and assumptions, but not based off of fact. They're based off the way we look at things. So when we think about facing emotions that are altering reality, we have to understand that that fear first is an illusion. Now, fear comes as a positive and a negative. Fear can also help you be more aware of the situation that you're in, give you a heightened awareness. When you fear what's on the other side of a door, you're a little more cautious. But that doesn't mean stop moving. That doesn't mean when you have fear to run the other direction every time. Sometimes that fear could just be the unknown, and we need to challenge that fear so that we can actually prove to ourselves and also inspire others to challenge that fear so that we can get to the other side of that. One of my biggest fears is, I guess we could say one of my biggest fears, but one of my fears is not becoming who I truly say I'm going to become. We project a certain perception of ourselves. We project an image out of who we want to be and who we say we are. But oftentimes, I personally fear not truly becoming what I say I am or what I say I'm striving to become. That personal fear that I have keeps me going. It motivates me to keep pushing past my limits, keep challenging my weaknesses, keep finding opportunities for growth so that I actually can manifest that image, that projection, that pronouncement of who I say I am and bring it into reality. So I keep that in the forefront of my mind to say, I don't want to let myself down. I don't want to fall short of my goal of what I say I'm becoming. So I need to work on this every day. Some may have a fear of speaking. Some may have a fear of expressing themselves. Some may have a fear of animals, insects, but that fear can either break you or it can build you up into who you need to be because it's going to motivate you past. It's going to give you that heightened awareness where, yeah, I'm going to be a little cautious. I'm going to take my time. Let me analyze the situation and scenario so I can make the best decision for my success. But that doesn't mean that just because that fear creep in that I need to back away, that I need to stop. That means we need to push forward. We're facing emotions that are altering our reality. It doesn't mean that it is the true reality that we're living in. These emotions are causing our mind to perceive reality different. These emotions are altering our reality or our perception of reality. A lot of times when you want to announce or give some bad news, we tend to fear what the reaction is going to be. So we may not deliver it in the best way, which ultimately creates the scenario that we were trying to avoid. But if we allow that fear to be cautious in a sense and be able to say, what do I really want to say? How do I want to give this off? And then deliver that and just embrace what reaction comes with that, we are able to grow. But we have to face that fear first. Many of us may have a so-called fear of success. We say, we call it a fear of failure, but it's really a fear of success because we say, well, what's going to happen when I get successful? When I reach these goals, how are my friends going to look at it? How are my friends going to feel? What they're going to do when I'm not available for them? What's going to happen when I'm not able to lend this money? What's going to happen when I can't make it to that family event? What are they going to think about me? So I don't want to be successful because I don't want my family to feel any different. I don't want my friends to look at me different. But is that really helping you or them if you don't become successful based off the fear of the perception that may come with that, which ultimately may not even be the perception that happens? In order to get that reaction, you first have to be successful. So if you're afraid to be successful based off the perceptions, then you're just going to be in the same spot. And then you have to deal with the regret, or you have to deal with the results of your lack of action, because when you don't move, you can't complain about not moving forward or not reaching that goal or reaching that destination if you don't move at all. But if you are taking steps, eventually you'll get there. It's up to you of how many steps you're going to take. It's up to you of how fast you're going to take those steps. But you want to make sure that when you're taking these steps, that they're intentional about them. They're aligned with your goals. They're aligned with your plan. They help you challenge your fears, challenge your limitations, make it a point where you limit your excuses so that you can maximize your abilities, because you're not thinking about what can't happen or how bad this feels or what's the worst case scenario and how this is going to fail. You're thinking about how you're going to succeed. You're thinking about how you're going to complete your goal. You're thinking about what action do I need to take next that's going to take me to the next level, that's going to help me reach my goal. So we have to use fear. Fear is natural, but we have to use fear in the right context, in the right ways, so that we can reach the goals that we're setting for ourselves. Let's take a moment to break off of fear and let's think about this idea of failure. The society that we live in has painted failure to be a negative thing. When someone says, "Oh, you failed," you automatically perceive it as you did something wrong, you're no good, you're not going to be successful. But we have to really break down what failure is. Failure is an attempt to be successful, but an awareness of what needs to be done in order to reach the goal. Once you fail, you realize, okay, these aren't the actions that equal up to my success. But you have to fail in order to succeed. You have to figure out all the ways for it not to work, for you to get to a point to understand what needs to happen for it to work. If you're working on your jump shot and you notice that you shooting the same way, you don't keep your elbow in, you don't flick your wrist at the end, you're not holding the ball correctly, you just shooting it incorrectly or improperly to be able to make the shot. At some point, you're going to realize maybe I need to bring my shoulder in, bring my elbow in. Maybe I need to stand up straight. Maybe I need to bend my knees and jump. Maybe I need to adjust the actions that I'm making so that I can be successful. But if you keep missing the shot, you eventually will figure out what I need to do to improve. But that failure is actually leading you to success. It's a stepstone that's leading you to success. So if you continue to look at failure as a negative thing, then you won't pick up the ball and try again. If you think that, oh, I missed a shot, but you've never actually trained yourself to be able to perfect your shot, then you're going to be left with potential. You're leaving potential on the table, basically. You're leaving opportunity on the table. You're leaving opportunities to grow on the table when you don't take those opportunities to adjust the actions that you've taken previously that weren't considered successful so that you can lead yourself to success. You have to mess up your cooking in order to learn how to cook sometimes. When you're trying a new dish, you may not get it right the first time. Oh, maybe I had the heat up too high. Maybe I didn't have the heat up long enough. Maybe I didn't let it cook long enough. Maybe I should try it in the stove. Try it in the oven versus cooking it on top of the stove. Maybe I should try boiling the water this way before I introduce this thing. You figure out what adjustments you have to make so that you can become successful. Because once you get that recipe right, guess what happens? People are going to ask you, how did you do it? And what you're going to tell them? Oh, well, it took me a while. It took me about 14 times before I got it right. First, it was too salty. First, it wasn't cooked all the way through. Next, it was too soft. Next, it was too hard. Then it was tough. Then it was tender. Like you had to go through the trials. You had to go through the failures in order for you to reach that success. But once you become successful, you have to continue to refine that. Just because you get the dish right or get it to a point where it's palatable doesn't mean that you have mastered it. You have to continue to work. You have to continue to find your weak points and find those opportunities for growth and continue to double down on that. Because self-development is an endless journey if you want it to be. And that's how I look at it. I look at self-development as an endless journey. And I want to inspire others to look at it that way as well, because we never want to get content with who we are at the moment, because there's always more pieces to the puzzle. There's always more potential that we can tap into, more limits that we can push past, more challenges that we can face to help improve and grow as a person. Right now, I've been working on consistency for myself. Consistency with the show, consistency in my family life, consistency with myself, with my working out. Every day, I've been striving to run a few miles a day. Every day, get up, do 20 push-ups, then go run and do a few exercises every day. The point of doing that is because along the journey, you're gonna get to some points where you may have ran 4 miles this day, and the next day you may only can get through 2.5 miles. Although maybe it's 1.8, or maybe it's 3.6, maybe it's 3.1. But the point is, did you get up and work towards it? What adjustments do I make? Well, maybe I was running a little too hard at the beginning of this race, at this run. So by the time that I got to the end of it, I was a little winded. I wasn't able to push further to get to that next mile marker. But I got to make adjustments. That failure of wanting to hit 4 miles, but you falling short of 4 miles, lets you know that there's adjustments you need to make in order to get there. Maybe I need to stretch more before I start. Maybe I need to hydrate myself a little bit better. Maybe I need some different music, some different inspiration to get me started. Maybe I need to adjust the time frame that I started running in. Maybe I need to go a little bit later. Maybe I need to go a little bit earlier. There's adjustments along the way based off the failure. I'm able to now analyze my situation. But if I only focus on the goal and just hitting that goal and never looking at what actions I'm taking to reach that goal, then I'm not truly growing. I'm kind of aimlessly putting shots up on the wall. I'm aimlessly throwing things against the wall to see what's going to stick, but I'm not truly looking at myself and taking the time and the patience to figure out what is it that is successful, what is it that's failing, what needs to be adjusted, what needs to be consistent and continue to be done in order to reach that goal, so that I can actually be successful on a consistent basis. Because it's one thing to be able to get the job done one time, but then can never duplicate it. Because in order to be considered a dependable person, you have to be able to have consistent reliability. I have to be able to rely on you on a regular basis or on a consistent basis for me to consider you as a dependable person or someone that I can trust. But if it's every once in the blue moon you come through, then that trust level is weak. That trust level is low. So I can't consider you as a dependable person, because when I need you, you're not there. That's why consistency is so important. We're building a community here on the Silent Mind Network. We're using the Silent Conversations podcast to kind of really usher it in. But we want to build a community of like-minded individuals who are working towards goals, working towards improvement, regular and consistent improvement, so that we can improve ourselves and our community. But if we're living in fear, if we're only focused on failure as a negative thing and not understanding that this fear should be a motivator to be able to push past this limit, this obstacle, and find the opportunities to adjust the way we're thinking, adjust our actions so that we can meet that fear with courage, meet that fear with belief and faith in what we're doing. That this is what we have to get to the other end of this bridge. Though it may seem scary, though it may be dark, though it may be creepy, we're going to push forward. We're going to make it to the other end because X, Y, and Z. This is my reason why, my purpose. I have to complete this goal to fulfill my purpose. My family needs to make it to the other side. I have to inspire them so that they can make changes in their life. So I got to make changes in my life consistently to show that it's possible. Sometimes you have to be the spark. Not everybody has the torch lit full and be able to shine light on whatever. Sometimes you just need to be the spark to get it going. Sometimes with a lighter, you got to keep on flicking it until that spark turn into a flame. But just because you strike it the first time and it doesn't light doesn't mean you give up. You got to keep going. Self-development is an ongoing process. That's the main thing that we preach here, is that it's consistent and ongoing. It's self-development. As long as you're living, you should be growing. You should be working on yourself. The better you become, the better you are for other people. The best version of yourself deserves to be worked on every day. But that gets into self-love and self-care and self-improvement. You have to be able to understand who you are, what you want to become, and what your duty is on this planet. What are you here to do? What is your purpose? Where are you needed to serve? Find that and be able to inspire those who you are here to be able to inspire. That's what it's about. It's about improvement, but not allowing fear to stop your improvement, because fear is an illusion. Now, the biggest thing about fear that I want to stress today is the fact that it's all in your mind. So it always comes back to mindset. As we always talk about, self-development is 85% mental. So if your mindset is weak, if you don't have a strong mind in the sense that you have a belief system, you're grounded in that belief system, you have intentions and have realized what it is that you want to accomplish, at that point, regardless of what opportunities show up that may present fear, you're going to push past the fear so that you can reach your goal. Because you know that fear is just part of the process. You know that if you're feeling fear, it's because you're reaching a part that you've never been before. You're now in the unknown. You're in that growth opportunity. You're in the growth zone when you start feeling fear because you're getting uncomfortable. You're a little insecure about where you're at because you've never been in this position before. So you feel vulnerable. That's where that fear comes in. That's when that anxiety creeps in. But that should be an alert. Increase your awareness, increase your thinking ability and your thinking capacity to be able to figure out what it is that I need to do to be able to reach this next level so I can get past this fear. Don't let the fear stop you. Let the fear position yourself to be able to be successful, because you know that at the end or the other side of this fear is your goal. On the other side of this fear is your growth, is what you need in order to be that much more bold the next time you feel that fear. We have to get comfortable in our skin and in our goals and in the image of who we want to be. We got to first think it. We have to first start with the mind. What is it that we're trying to achieve? What is it that I need to do in order to achieve it? And how would I go about this? And how would I be able to do this every day? What actions can I take every day so I can make this consistent so that it becomes second nature or just who I am? It's not just a person that I'm striving to be. This is a lifestyle that I live. That's when you truly step into yourself and your truth and become the things that you say you're going to become. And when you say be and it is, it becomes that because you live it. It's not just words. It's not just things that you say or tell people to make it seem as if you're doing something. It's the way that you live, the actions that you take every day when people are watching and when they're not watching, that remind you of who you are and where you're headed. We have to be comfortable with that. So fear and failure, this is a part of the process. They're natural feelings. They're natural things. But if we don't put them in the right perspective, if we don't put them in their right place, if we allow fear to stop us or stun our growth, if we allow fear to make us ball up and not push forward, if we allow fear to erode at our belief system and erode at our mindset, we will fail. But we're going to fail in the sense that we're going to give up. Remember, failure only happens when you stop trying, when you stop adjusting, when you stop growing. That's when you're failing, because ultimately you're successful if you're able to figure out what it is not creating the result you want, make the needed adjustment, you will get that result. So you become successful. So remember that failure is just a stepstone to success. You got to be willing to fail so that you can be successful. Learn from your losses so that you can really appreciate and understand how to win. Don't just worry about the perceptions of others. Don't be fearful of success so you just allow failure to be something that you're comfortable with. Make adjustments. Even if that means adjusting the people that you feel perceptions have weight in your life. Because you got to really analyze your environments, analyze your associates, because if they're not working on themselves, how can they really encourage you to work on yourself? If anything, they're just motivation of what not to do. But you do need examples around you of what to do as well. Because if you're only looking at examples of what not to do, eventually you're going to start becoming like those influences indirectly. It's almost like when you think about the law of attraction, they say you can't speak on what you don't want, because the more you focus on what you don't want, the more you're giving energy to what you don't want, which brings it into your reality. So if you're only around individuals who you don't want to be like, eventually you're still going to become like those individuals, because these are your influences, whether you know it or not. So we have to be careful about what we're consuming and careful about the people that we're expressing and venting ourselves to and opening ourselves up to and being influenced by, because they will either help you become more courage or more bold when it comes to fear. They're only going to help you push past your failures so you can be successful, or they're going to reaffirm your fears, or they're going to help you be comfortable in your failures and reaffirm your failures as not stepstones to success, but just reminders of your inefficiencies. We don't want individuals like that around us. We don't want individuals around us that are complacent and okay with just being who they are, not looking for opportunities for growth, not taking action, intentional action to become better every day. We want to be around people that's what they want. They want improvement. They want to set a goal and hit the goal. They want to talk about positive things. They want to bring peace to a situation. That's who the people we want to be around. And those are the people that we want to attract. So that's what we want to think about. Think about, what are you afraid of? What do you feel like you're failing at or a failure at? And then reanalyze, what is it that you're trying to accomplish? What is the goal? Because you may be failing because you may not be clear on what it is that you're trying to accomplish. So you don't know what adjustments to make along the way. So you're just aimlessly making adjustments, but these things are not aligned with the goal or the destination that you're trying to reach. So then when the fear creeps in, you don't know where to ground yourself at to be able to keep going. So you just turn around and give up. Then you realize that this will be another year that goes by that you've been ruled by fear and failure, and you won't become successful the way that you truly want to be. Because in all honesty, you not deciding to become who you want to be is success. You are being exactly what you wanted to be, because you say that you want to be successful, but your actions say that you want to be a failure. So you continue to multiply or reaffirm those actions of becoming a failure. But once you decide for yourself that this will no longer be what my reality is, I'm going to start taking steps today to be able to get to the goal that I want to reach, to become the version of myself that I want to be, to hit the targets that I set before myself. And you start taking those actions, you will become that. Actions speak louder than words. Fear is only an illusion. Failure is simply a step that leads you to success. And consistency is the only way that you're going to actually bring all of that into existence. Because if it's not consistent, it's not worth keeping. Consistency breeds trust. Trust gives you confidence. Confidence breeds success, and success breeds confidence. All of these things are connected, but it starts with you. It starts with your mind. It starts with your belief. So start believing that what you want to be, what you want to do is really what you want. Start analyzing your actions. What is helping you? What is hurting you? Make the needed adjustments and keep going forward. Don't dwell on the past. Focus on the future and stay grounded in the present to do what you need to do now, so tomorrow it becomes easier to get there. You don't have to go double back and say, oh, I forgot I had to do this step. Let me go back and do this step, and now I can move forward. So let's not walk around in the deficit. Let's walk around in the positive. Let's be proactive. Let's take steps today that's going to help us tomorrow. And if we find that the steps that we taking today still leaves us opportunity to take more steps, why not? Success is free, so why accept failure? Why accept quitting? Why accept giving up? Why accept fear? When courage is free, when realizing your goals is free, manifesting your reality is free. So, as always, this is the Silent Conversations podcast. I leave you with this thought. Fear is only in the mind. So the stronger the mind, the less fear has control over it. Failure is just a step to success. But if you refuse to take that step, you'll never reach the success that you want to reach. So take the steps. Be okay with failing, but make the adjustments so that you can learn from that failure, so that when that success happens, you can repeat it. You can duplicate that success because you took the time out to analyze your actions and made the right adjustments along the way so that you can manifest those goals. This has been the Silent Conversations podcast. It's your brother, Silent Sound. As always, we operate under the 3 P's. That's peace, positivity, and perspective. We always want to be at peace with ourselves and at peace with our environments and associates. We always want to be at positive vibes. We always want to be at a high vibration. We want to make sure that we're speaking positivity to one another. We want to make sure that we're acting in love and positivity when we're dealing with ourselves and others as well. And we want to make sure that we're open to other perspectives, being willing to share our perspective with others, and also willing to listen to other people's perspectives so that we can gain understanding, have personal interest in someone else the way we want people to take personal interest in us. As we know, we all are working to become best versions of ourselves. So if we're working on ourselves every day and we inspire the next person to work on themselves every day, We create a community of individuals who are working to improve themselves every day and better serve those around us. So tap in. It's your brother Silent Sound. This has been the Silent Conversations podcast. It's always sponsored by the Silent Store. Yes, thesilentstore.com, where you can get my new ebook, The Three P's, the keys to having better days. That really taps in on that mindset that we speak about that keeps me grounded, and I think will inspire you to be grounded and push towards the growth of being the best version of yourself that you deserve to be as well. So be sure to tap in. Peace.